Beef looks simple on a plate. A steak, a burger, a clean protein number on a nutrition label. But behind that steak is land, water, time, infrastructure. Cattle farming occupies enormous agricultural space globally. Pasture plus feed crops. It requires massive water inputs and long growth cycles. It depends on transport, refrigeration, processing, packaging. Now zoom out. Imagine shrinking all of that into 1 square foot, 1 window, 1 climbing vine. That's the scale shift we're talking about. This plant is called the winged bean, scientifically known as Psophocarpus tetragonolobus. In tropical regions, it's sometimes called the Goa bean or four-angled bean, but names don't matter as much as this fact. Nearly every part of this plant is edible. Leaves, flowers, pods, seeds, even underground tubers. It's not just a vegetable, it's a system. The seeds of the winged bean can contain up to 30 to 35% protein under good growing conditions, comparable to soybeans, and significantly higher than most common vegetables. Fresh green pods offer fiber and moderate protein. Leaves contribute micronutrients. Tubers provide calories and additional protein. This is not lettuce, this is structure. And here's the craziest part. You don't need a field. You don't even need soil. You can grow this in a lightweight window box using coconut fiber and liquid nutrients. You can train it vertically on string. You can turn 6 inches of horizontal space into 6 feet of vertical food production. While cattle require acreage measured in fields, the winged bean wants height. It climbs, it reaches, it turns sunlight into biomass with aggressive efficiency. This is not about replacing all meat overnight. It's about reducing dependency, about stacking calories and protein in small spaces, about growing density instead of spreading out. The modern food system rewards scale, but survival gardening rewards efficiency, and this plant is one of the most efficient protein per square foot crops you can grow. In this video, we build a vertical protein wall in a window. No backyard required, no heavy soil, no livestock, just light, water, and a vine that refuses to stay small. If you think protein requires pasture, you haven't met the winged bean. Most crops specialize. Carrots give you roots, spinach gives you leaves, peas give you pods. The winged bean refuses to specialize. Let's break it down. The plant itself, Psophocarpus tetragonolobus, is a vigorous tropical legume. Like other legumes, it forms a symbiotic relationship with nitrogen-fixing bacteria in its roots. That means it can pull nitrogen from the air and convert it into usable nutrients, enriching its own growth and often improving the soil around it. Already, that's efficient. But the real power is in the harvest layers. 1. The leaves, the spinach replacement. Young leaves can be harvested continuously and cooked like spinach or kale. They're tender when young and increasingly sturdy as they mature. Nutritionally, they provide protein, calcium, iron, and vitamins typical of leafy greens, but with a slightly higher protein edge compared to many common salad crops. You're not sacrificing greens for protein, you're stacking them. 2. The flowers, the edible bonus. The flowers are often blue or pale purple, shaped like small orchids. They're edible. Lightly sautéed, they develop a texture that many describe as mushroom-like, soft, savory, slightly earthy. Most plants give you flowers you admire. This one gives you flowers you eat. 3. The pods, the star shape. The pods are where things get visually dramatic. Slice one horizontally and you'll see a perfect 4-pointed star cross-section. Those wings increase surface area, which means they cook quickly and absorb flavor well. Harvested young, the pods taste like a cross between asparagus and snap peas, crisp, slightly sweet, with a firm bite. As they mature, They become more fibrous and better suited for seed production. You get to choose the stage, vegetable mode or protein mode. The 4. The seeds, the protein core. Let the pods dry fully on the vine and you unlock the real engine. The mature seeds can reach protein levels comparable to soybeans, often around 30 to 35%, depending on growing conditions. That's dramatically higher than most grains and higher than many animal products per dry weight comparison. They can be boiled like beans, ground into flour, or roasted. This is calorie density in a vine. 5. The tubers, the hidden reserve. At the end of the season, beneath the surface, the plant forms tuberous roots in some growing conditions. These can contain significantly more protein than common potatoes and provide starchy calories with a nutty undertone when roasted. So from one plant, you harvest leaf crop, flower crop, pod crop, seed crop, and root crop. That's not a vegetable, that's redundancy. And redundancy equals resilience. Instead of relying on separate crops for greens, legumes, and roots, you consolidate production. In small space growing, especially urban setups, that consolidation is powerful. A single vertical vine becomes a multi-tier food system. And because it climbs aggressively, it transforms vertical airspace into edible biomass. You're no longer gardening on the ground, you're gardening in layers. Most people look at a window and see light. The winged bean sees a ladder. And once you understand that every part of this plant feeds you in a different way, you stop thinking of it as a novelty. You start thinking of it as infrastructure. Now let's remove the biggest psychological barrier to growing protein at home. Soil is heavy. Soil is messy. Soil won't work in a window. Good. We're not using soil. The winged bean, Psophocarpus tetragonolobus, does not require traditional garden dirt to thrive. What it needs is oxygen at the roots, consistent moisture, nutrients, and something stable to anchor into. That's it. So instead of filling a window box with heavy potting mix, we build a lightweight hybrid system using cocoa coir, compressed coconut fiber, or expanded clay pebbles, leca. Why? Because soil solves problems you don't have in a window. Outdoors, soil buffers temperature swings, anchors large plants against wind, and stores nutrients between rains. Indoors, or on a balcony, you control water, you control feeding, you control structure. So we simplify. Step 1. The container. A standard 24 to 36-inch window box works. It must have drainage holes. Protein does not like sitting in swamp conditions unless you're intentionally running hydroponics. Weight matters. Wet soil is heavy. Cocoa coir is dramatically lighter. Step 2. The medium. Cocoa coir holds moisture while maintaining airflow. It doesn't compact like soil. It doesn't turn into a brick when dry. It creates a root zone that is moist but oxygen-rich, exactly what legumes prefer. Before use, hydrate compressed cocoa bricks fully and rinse if necessary to remove excess salts. If using leca, clay pebbles, rinse thoroughly to remove dust. You're building a breathable root chamber. Step 3. Feeding. Without soil, nutrients must be supplied through water. This is where the hydroponic hybrid concept comes in. Instead of relying on slow-release compost, you mix diluted liquid fertilizer into your watering schedule. Balanced vegetable nutrients work well during early growth. When flowering and potting begin, slightly higher potassium levels support production. Think of it this way. Soil is a pantry. Hydroponics is grocery delivery. We're choosing delivery. And here's the advantage. The plant doesn't waste energy pushing through dense earth. Roots spread quickly through loose fiber. Nutrients arrive directly in solution. Growth accelerates. Because winged bean is a legume, it can fix nitrogen with the right bacteria present. But in container systems, supplemental feeding ensures maximum performance. Step 4. Planting. Soak seeds overnight before planting to improve germination speed. Plant about 1 inch deep. Keep medium evenly moist until sprouting. Warmth matters. This is a tropical vine. It prefers warm soil and strong light. South-facing windows or balconies perform best. Within days, you'll see thick, confident sprouts emerging. No mud, no backyard, no heavy lifting. Just a lightweight box turning sunlight into protein. The key shift is this. We stop thinking like field farmers. We start thinking like engineers. The window box isn't decorative anymore. It's a controlled food production unit. Here's where the transformation happens. If you grow the winged bean horizontally, you waste its potential. This plant is a climber. Left alone, Psophocarpus tetragonolobus will sprawl, tangle, and search for elevation. It wants sky. It wants structure. So give it structure. Run simple garden twine from the window box up to a curtain rod, balcony railing, or ceiling hook. Space the strings a few inches apart. Secure them tightly. That's it. You've just turned 6 inches of soil into 6 feet of production. As the vine grows, gently wrap tendrils around the twine. Within days, it grabs hold on its own. What happens next is dramatic. Leaves stack vertically. Pods dangle at eye level. Flowers bloom in accessible clusters. Instead of occupying floor space, the plant becomes a living wall, a green curtain. And this vertical approach changes everything. 1. Yield per square foot increases. You're no longer limited by ground area. Production scales with height. In small apartments, height is abundant while floor space is scarce. 2. Light exposure improves. Vertical leaves intercept more sunlight throughout the day. Instead of shading themselves in a horizontal mat, they form layered panels. 3. Airflow reduces disease. Elevated vines experience better airflow than dense ground cover, reducing fungal risk in humid conditions. 4. Temperature control. In hot climates, a green curtain can reduce interior heat gain by shading windows. You're not just growing food, you're improving microclimate. Now imagine this. Pods hanging at chest height, leaves within arm's reach. No bending, no kneeling. Harvest becomes effortless. And because you're growing vertically, even a modest window can produce a surprising volume of biomass over a season. This is the opposite of pasture-based protein. Cattle spread horizontally across acres. Winged bean climbs vertically into the air. One consumes land, the other converts sunlight on a wall. The vertical trick isn't decoration, it's multiplication. You're turning architecture into agriculture. And once the vines fully cover the frame, something psychological shifts. You stop seeing a window, you see a protein wall. Most people grow the winged bean for the pods. They harvest the crisp green stars, maybe dry a few seeds. Then winter comes, the vine yellows, they pull it out and compost it. Huge mistake, because underground, something else has been forming. In the right conditions, Psophocarpus tetragonolobus produces tuberous roots, swollen, potato-like structures that store energy from the season's photosynthesis. They're not always massive in small containers, but even modest tubers represent concentrated calories and additional protein. Some analyses show protein content significantly higher than common potatoes. That means this plant doesn't just give you leaves and beans, it gives you roots. At the end of the growing cycle, stop watering heavily. Let the plant begin natural dieback. Then gently tip the container and loosen the medium. Brush away cocoa coir or clay pebbles, and there they are. Firm, pale tubers hiding beneath the surface. Roasted, they develop a nutty, slightly sweet flavor. Texture falls somewhere between potato and chestnut. Not identical to either, but substantial, satisfying. Think about what just happened. From a single window box, you harvested continuous leafy greens, edible flowers, crisp pods, high-protein dry seeds, and underground calorie storage. 5 food streams from one vine. That's structural efficiency. And it mirrors something we see in survival ecology. Plants that invest both above and below ground are resilient. If storms damage leaves, roots survive. If drought slows pod production, tubers still store energy. This redundancy is not accidental, it's evolutionary insurance. In a world where supply chains break, prices spike, and protein becomes expensive, redundancy matters. When you grow the winged bean vertically, you're not just harvesting visible abundance, you're harvesting hidden reserves. And that final harvest, pulling up tubers at season's end, feels different. It feels like uncovering stored sunlight, because that's exactly what it is. Let's zoom out. To produce beef, you need land measured in acres, feed inputs, water systems, transport, refrigeration, infrastructure. To produce plant protein efficiently, you need sunlight, support, and root space. The winged bean, Psophocarpus tetragonolobus, compresses protein production into vertical space. It doesn't replace every food group, but it shifts power. When you can grow dense protein in a window, something changes psychologically. You're no longer completely dependent. You're supplementing your own supply. You're converting light hitting your wall into calories. That's a radical idea in urban living. We've been trained to think protein is industrial, that it requires feedlots, soy monocultures, refrigerated trucks. But protein is just nitrogen structured by sunlight. Legumes understand this. They collaborate with microbes. They climb. They multiply leaf surface area. They store energy in seeds and roots. And when you design vertically, you amplify that biology. A single vine can produce over months fresh greens for cooking, tender pods for stir-fries, dry beans for storage, tubers for roasting, layered harvest, layered security. And it doesn't require a backyard. It requires intention. Instead of decorating your window with ornamental plants, you install infrastructure. Twine becomes scaffolding. A bax becomes a production unit. This is not about fear. It's about leverage. If food prices rise, you're buffered. If stores close temporarily, you're not empty-handed. If you simply want to reduce grocery bills, you've added a protein stream that costs pennies in seeds and nutrients. The grocery store sells finished products. This vine sells potential. And once you watch it climb, flower, fruit, and feed you from top to bottom, you stop seeing walls as boundaries. You see them as vertical farmland. Stop assuming protein requires pasture. Stop assuming space limits you. Start stacking calories upward. Grow the strong plants. And if you want more high-density, survival-grade crops that turn small spaces into food systems, subscribe to the Garden Lore Vault. Because independence doesn't start with acreage, it starts with a window.